So the news that I've been knowing for about a month finally broke today. Two-time Olympic 100-meter medalist, 2022 world champion, Fred Kerley just signed with the Enhanced Games that's backed by PayPal co-founder Peter Thiel and Aaron DeSouza. And initially, a lot of people were posing the question, why would Fred Kerley go run with the Enhanced Games rather than sit back, wait for time to pass while he's fighting his whereabouts violation with World Athletics, where he could potentially not even win the case. And currently at the moment, he's not getting paid by his sponsors. So he could essentially not win the case and then have to go on a 2-year hiatus where he's not getting paid still. So essentially 3 years of not being paid in a sport that doesn't care about its athletes, where they pick and choose who they want to win, who they allow to take drugs, allow who they give drugs to, and then propagate them as a hell of a thing or a hell of a occurrence or a hell of an athlete. And then as soon as they do something against the grain or go against the people in charge, they kick them to the curb and play like they never achieved all that they achieved for whatever country they represented and all for the sport. And I'm gonna just be honest, that's how track and field works, but that's not how the real world works. Fred Kerley is arguably the most talented all-around sprinter in track and field history. He's been running the 100 meters for 4 years, and in the last 4 years have received 3 100-meter medals, a gold, a silver, and a bronze. And before that, showed great prowess in the 400 meters. And in the 400 meters, broke the collegiate record, went to the world championships, got a medal in the 400, pretty much going on an international stage and getting a medal at every single championship that he's ever ran at. And when he goes and misses 3 drug tests, and it's not about the fact that he intentionally skipped drug tests. If you know anything about the AIU or any of these drug testing companies, they don't make the initiative to actually test you and come find you or whatever. They make their initiative to suspend big names because they can't actually catch people for taking drugs. So let's just say that they know you're at a track meet, but you just forgot to update your whereabouts or didn't update them or whatever. But they know exactly where you are, and they still go to your house knowing you're not there. And they're gonna give you a missed test for that. Any real company that had your best interest in mind, they would have just pulled up to where they knew you were versus where they knew you weren't because you didn't update your whereabouts. But that's neither here nor there. That's how track and field works. Track and field is one of the only sports that literally works against its athletes rather than with its athletes. One of the only sports that makes their main interest kicking their athletes out of the sport, despite them being the ones who create the buzz, create the revenue, who create the hype around this sport in general. And also too, let's just say Fred Kerley wouldn't get paid from, I guess, this whole entire year because he did Grand Slam. Grand Slam didn't pay anybody. And let's just say he had to sit out the next 2 years. Fred Kerley has 3 houses. He has 3 kids. He has a wife and a girlfriend. Now, granted, he has money put up and money saved from his career. A lot of money, actually. But why dip into your savings when you don't have to? When there's a company out here, I think that all money isn't good money, but I'm a firm believer that all legal money is good money. So you're able to go out here and literally do the exact same thing that you were doing, but you get to remove the politics because they have let's say Fred Kerley caught a case for abuse or whatever. Wasn't caught on camera, wasn't proven to be doing it, just hearsay. And let's just say he went from making $60,000, $70,000 at Diamond League meets to them only wanting to pay him $7,000 with no evidence, no proof, no conviction. But you will have a Sha'Carri Richardson who does the same thing, but it's actually caught on camera, so we know she did it. And she could show up and make $100,000, $120,000, $130,000 at these exact same meets. So the politics off rip aren't in the interest of your everyday athlete. So why go to a place where you're tolerated versus a place where you're celebrated? I think that him going to the enhanced games, and I've seen a lot of like really, really dumb people in the comments. Why would he do this? His reputation is ruined, this, and that. The man that already ran in 2 Olympics and both times left with medals. You can't ruin that. A man that already switched to the 100 in his second year running the 100, won a world title running 9.7. You can't ruin that. So him going to go run track in a billionaire-backed league, not old po-ass Grand Slam where these niggas don't really have the money, how is that ruining anything? He ain't breaking no rules, he ain't breaking no laws, and he's getting paid way more money than your favorite runner. And not just that, I've seen a lot of people try to shun this fact that he's going to go run at the enhanced games when all you had to do was a simple read. And the read just shows that this is not a league where you have to show up and dope, because if you see that, he opted out to even do any doping. And he's still going to participate in the World Athletics testing pool. This is just a league where they don't do drug testing. So you can dope if you want to, but he really wouldn't have that option anyways, remaining in the World Athletics testing pool. So they essentially gave him a fuck ton of money, allowing him to stay in Vegas and train. They put a salary aside for him, his coach. He get paid every month. He get insurance benefits, all of the above. Monthly stipend, salary, bonuses. And somehow all of these motherfuckers who working at these jobs for $16, $17 an hour, they mad. Like, see the irony in that? And not even just that. Let's just say Fred said fuck World Athletics and fuck the AIU and decides to go take drugs. Why should anybody be mad at that? How do you shun a league that's being honest and then celebrate a league of motherfuckers full of lies? See, we watching the World Championships right now, and your favorite athlete out there is literally on dope. But they're allowed to dope and it's covered up, and we know they're covering it up, and we know they're lying, but we celebrate them. But there's a league created where you can openly dope and openly be honest about it. And that's what we decide to shun. That's why I always say track people and track fans are the most delusional and abnormal fans when it comes to athletics. Because how can I openly celebrate a motherfucker lying, but a motherfucker telling the truth, I'm throwing rocks at their ass? And then I also saw people saying, they should break the world record, and a lot of people aren't going to run 9.5 and no one's going to run Usain Bolt's times. Why would people, let's just say you take genetic freaks, because Fred Kerley's a genetic freak. Why wouldn't a genetic freak be able to take drugs and beat the world record? I'ma let you reflect on that. How is it that all your favorite world record holders are quote unquote clean, but everybody under them have failed drug tests? I'm gonna let you reflect on that. And I think this is gonna be a really big thing, because when you eliminate the politics, when you eliminate all the corruption, you can now operate in good morals. So I feel like you will be able to go further. And you backed by real billionaires. And the owner himself is a real billionaire. So it's not like they don't have the money on some Grand Slam shit. And also the reason a guy like Fred signed is because he signed and the check literally cleared the very next day. In track and field, that doesn't happen. You will sign with a company, or you will run at a track meet and not get your money till months later. Hell, even a year later in a lot of these cases. So like they always say, man, money talks, bullshit walks. And I see a lot of niggas speaking a lot of bullshit. But I feel like if you making $16, $17, $18, $19, $20 an hour there at a job, and you working legally, and you got something to say about somebody else working legally, but they making 50 times what you making, I think you should be inclined to shut the fuck up and just sit back and watch or don't watch. Because at the end of the day, your opinion really means nothing. I'ma just be honest with you. But y'all let me know what y'all think.